Yes, it is. Welcome into Chase Center as we get ready for Warriors basketball here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you on Warriors Live, which, as always, is presented by Xfinity. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff. Warriors getting set to host the Memphis Grizzlies. The Dubs coming off of a win last time out, a much-needed win, a feel-good win. They put up 139 points in a win over the 76ers on Thursday. Now they welcome in the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the best teams, at least record-wise, in the NBA as it stands right now. The Warriors 17-16, the Grizzlies 23-12. The story of this matchup, though, is a couple of key absences. So before we get into everything else about this game, let's run through our injury report, which is brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. For more information, visit boxerlaw.com. The big absence for the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry is out officially to manage his bilateral knee tendonitis. This has been an ongoing issue for Stephen Curry. It's kept him on most injury reports. Oddly enough, he was on the injury report back on Thursday with a thumb sprain, and he had his thumb taped for the game on Thursday, and for the first time in his career, he went 8 for 8 from downtown. But he is out today, not because the bilateral knee tendonitis got worse. It's just an ever-present thing for Steph right now, and the Warriors have decided they think it's best to not play Steph in back-to-backs at this stage of the season. So he's off tonight. He is expected to play tomorrow when the Kings are in town on Sunday. That game, just like today, also tips off at 5:30, which means pregame coverage tomorrow also at 4:30 here on 95.7 The Game. Speaking pregame, Steve Kerr did say that it isn't just a foregone conclusion that Steph isn't going to play both ends of a back-to-back for the rest of the season. He just says they're doing it right now because of the knee tendonitis in both knees. Bilateral knee tendonitis for Steph right now. Until that recovers and gets better and is no longer bothering Steph, he very likely he will continue to not play in back-to-backs. But if that problem, fixes itself and it's no longer bothering him, then we very well could see Steph play back-to-backs again later on in the season. But right now, still managing that bilateral knee tendonitis. He is out tonight, and for the time being, do not expect Steph to play back-to-backs, at least for right now, again. And after today and tomorrow, the Warriors' next back-to-back is Thursday and Friday of next week in Detroit and in Indiana. We don't know which game yet Stephen Curry will rest, but I would imagine he would not play in one of those two games, either Detroit or Indiana. Also out for the Warriors tonight is Gary Payton II, left calf strain. Remember, he missed a game, then returned on Christmas Day against the Lakers, re-aggravated it, hasn't played since. The Warriors did put out an update on Gary Payton II's calf about an hour ago, and here's what it reads from the Warriors. Again, quote, Payton II is making good progress. He has been cleared to begin individual on-court workouts and will be reevaluated again next week. So there's the update from GP2. Progress, but not yet ready for a return. And it seems like at the very earliest, we're probably still a week away from seeing GP2 back on the court. The Warriors saying he will be reevaluated again in a week. Also out for the Warriors tonight, Brandon Pajemski still out, right abdominal tightness. He has not played the last two games. He is out again tonight. Andrew Wiggins listed on the injury report with right hamstring tightness, but he is probable and expected to play for the Warriors tonight. So our injury report, again brought to you by Boxer & Gerson for the Warriors. Curry out, Payton II out, Pajemski out, Wiggins probable and expected to play. The big absence for the Grizzlies is that Ja Morant is out dealing with an AC joint sprain, and he's likely going to miss a decent amount of time. He's already missed a good amount of time so far this year, but that's not the only absence for the Grizzlies tonight. In addition to Morant being out, Marcus Smart still out, G.G. Jackson still out, Santi Aldama is out, Vince Williams Jr. also out. Luke Kennard, in addition, is doubtful, one of the best, if not the best, just percentage-wise, three-point shooters in the NBA. He's doubtful, not expected to play. Desmond Bane and John Conchar are questionable for the Grizzlies tonight. So a pretty hefty injury report for both teams. Oddly enough, though, the Warriors, in Stephen Curry's missed games this year, he's missed 6 of them. This is number 7. In the first 6 that he missed, the Warriors are 4-2. Believe it or not, 4-2 without Stephen Curry this year. And the Grizzlies, a similar story. Ja Morant's already missed 15 games. The Grizzlies are 9-6 without Ja Morant so far this season. That, again, is our injury report, which is brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm. I mentioned what Steve Kerr said pregame, talking about Steph and back-to-backs and how the Warriors are planning to deal with that in the future. Steve Kerr also pregame talking about the team's plans at the trade deadline, which is now just about a month away, a little over a month away. February 6th is the trade deadline. Steve Kerr pregame, quote, "We've been up and down, but we like the group. We like the people we have. We really want to see how we play over the next month and then keep our options open." So it feels like the Warriors are not in a major rush to get a move made or a move done right now. Looks like they're still in the quote-unquote information gathering season up until the trade deadline. Obviously, things can change, but given what the Warriors are saying right now, it does seem like they're pretty comfortable playing this out for at least a couple of weeks, seeing if they can put some wins together, seeing if they absolutely need to make a move, if it's just an ancillary move, if it's a big move. What do they need? Their play here over the next 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weeks might determine how the Warriors act at the trade deadline. That's the update from Steve Kerr pregame. Those are the 2 biggest things that he talked about in this one. Remember the last time these 2 teams played? It was December 19th, so the week before Christmas in Memphis, and the Warriors lost by 51 points. 144-93 was the final score, and that was the game where both Steph Curry and Draymond Green did not make a field goal. The first time in their careers in which they both played in a game and neither of them made a field goal. Steph Curry scored 2 points from the free throw line. Draymond Green went scoreless. The Warriors lost that game by 51 points. Now there's no Steph. There's also no Ja for Memphis. But the Warriors trying to get a little bit of revenge after what happened in Memphis last time, a 51-point loss. The season series is 1-1. The Warriors beat the Grizzlies here at Chase Center in mid-November. That was a final score that was close, 123-118, but that was a game the Warriors were in complete control of really the entire game. It was kind of a nasty fourth quarter, not in terms of hard fouls, but just a hard basketball game to watch in the fourth quarter. There were so many foul calls, so many free throws. It took forever, and all those foul calls kind of allowed the Grizzlies to sneak back into the game late, although the result was never in doubt. The Warriors controlled that game, and they ultimately won that one by just 5. But again, it was not nearly as close as that final score suggests. But a 1-1 season series. Winner tonight, takes the lead in the season series. Important there for any potential tiebreakers going on. But as it currently stands, these 2 teams are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum in the Western Conference. The Grizzlies 23-12. They are second place in the Western Conference, only behind Oklahoma City, who is nearly lapping the entire field. Memphis is second in the West. They're 6.5 games back. The Warriors are 9th place, in fact, tied for 9th with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are 11.5 games back of Oklahoma City, which means of Memphis, they're only 5 games behind the Memphis Grizzlies. So 6.5 games is the difference between 1 and 2. 5 games is the difference between 2 and 10, because the Warriors and T-Wolves are both 17-16 and technically tied for the 9th spot. That's how dominant that Oklahoma City has been, and that's kind of how scrunched up everybody else is in the Western Conference right now. So important for the Warriors. Try to beat your foes that are ahead of you in the Western Conference standings, and tonight, no doubt, is an opportunity to do that for the Warriors, with tip-off coming up at 5:30, a little less than an hour away. I've got you covered for the next 15 or so minutes. Then I'll hand things off to Tim Roy, Tom Tolbert, and company, who are standing by here at Chase Center as well, and they'll get you ready for tip-off, and then they'll have tip-off for you all the way through the end of this basketball game. Last game, though, for the Warriors, we can forget about the 51-point loss against the Grizzlies. Last game for the Warriors, though, had to feel really good. That was 139-105 Warriors over the Sixers. The 8-for-8 shooting from downtown for Stephen Curry. He became the first NBA player to ever go 8-for-8 from downtown and dish out 10 assists in a single game. He also passed Michael Jordan for the most 30-plus point games for a guard aged 35 or older. It was his 40th such game, passing Michael's 39 such games. And the Warriors shot 60.9% from the field, essentially 61% from the field. They had not shot above 50% from the field since November 10th, a win in Oklahoma City. So the Warriors had gone nearly 2 months without shooting 50% from the field before Thursday, when they shot 61% from the field. That's how good that game had to feel. It was also a really good game for Jonathan Kuminga, who scored 20 points, had 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And it was maybe his most efficient game, 8 for 11 from the field. He made 2 of his 3 three-point attempts. He was awesome in that game once again, and it's something that Steve Kerr talked about yesterday on Willard and Dibs. I was in for Willard, so Dibs and myself interviewing Coach Kerr yesterday evening, and Steve Kerr talked about the evolution of Jonathan Kuminga. Here's what he had to say.
He looks like a different guy to me, honestly. These last 5 games, I think the light switch has gone on, and it's you can see it in the rebounding. I think he's averaging about 8 rebounds over that stretch. The ball movement, I thought his passing in the second quarter really unlocked the game. He was penetrating, getting to space, and then moving it. And then, then we just started to move the ball from there. He's one of the guys, along with Steph, who can break down the defense. But, I think in the past he's looked at scoring once he's broken the defense down and pulling up and shooting, maybe some mid-range shots that we don't need in the middle of the shot clock. The last few games, he's really looking to attack and get the ball moving, which helps our overall offense. So I love what JK's doing. He's playing hard. There's an awareness of what's happening. He looks fantastic. I'm really excited. I think he's breaking through.
Yeah, Kuminga's having himself an awesome stretch of basketball, and while 20 points doesn't come close to his career high that he set a couple of times this year, 34 points a couple of times, 33 points once, and it's all been like within the last month. We have seen this growth and development from Jonathan Kuminga, and really specifically like the last 10 days, we've seen a lot of it. It's not necessarily about just the points, and that's what Steve Kerr was talking about there, and he expanded on that. This is more Kerr on Jonathan Kuminga, but specifically, again, not the points, but his decision-making when the ball is in his hands. Here's Steve Kerr again yesterday on Willard and Dibs.
Yeah, because it's the right decisions that really lead to success. Every team in the NBA is going to score, 100 points a night. And so points are points. It's what happens in the flow of the game and what leads to team success that is the most important thing. And so what I'm seeing with JK is an awareness that when he breaks the defense down and he moves it, it's powerful. It gets other guys going. It develops a rhythm for the offense that's really tough to stop over the course of the game. And that's what we're seeing. So that play you mentioned is a good example, and I can give you, 6 or 7 more. That's what's exciting, is that he's seeing the pictures now really a lot more clearly than he has in the past, and that's exciting.
And the play that Steve Kerr is referring to there was a play late in the first quarter where he caught the ball in the right wing in motion towards the paint, got past his initial defender. Joel Embiid came over to help, and it feels like a younger Jonathan Kuminga, maybe even a Kuminga of a month ago, might have tried to attack Joel Embiid. And while that might not necessarily be the worst decision you could possibly make, this Kuminga on Thursday saw out of the corner of his eye Dennis Schroeder, who had already made a couple of threes in that first quarter, open on the left wing. So instead of trying to force a tough shot, which he can make, but it's a tough shot over the top of a 7-footer, he made the easy pass to the left wing, Dennis Schroeder an open three, and he made it. And that feels like the difference in Jonathan Kuminga over the last couple of weeks. It's the better decisions when the ball is in his hands, because there are times where he would try to force that through a 7-footer, and either it would be a wild shot, would barely even hit rim, maybe it wouldn't hit rim, or he'd get it blocked, and it almost acts as a turnover, and then the other team the other way gets a fast break bucket. Kuminga is not making those kinds of decisions anymore, and that is really good news for the Warriors. With that in mind, let's get to our Take It to the Bank prediction, which is brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking with no compromises. I'll take Jonathan Kuminga over 21.5 points tonight. In the last 2 games that Stephen Curry has missed, again, Curry out tonight as they continue to manage his bilateral knee tendinitis, Kuminga scored 33 points versus the Rockets in early December, and then 34 points versus the Clippers last week. He set a new career high both those times. On Thursday, remember the game we're just talking about, 20 points on only 11 field goal attempts. He's being more selective. He's being more efficient. He's shooting at a better rate. And without Stephen Curry tonight, I think the Warriors, given the stretch that Kuminga is on, they're going to be looking to Kuminga a little bit more to lead them offensively, again, without Stephen Curry. So I'm going over 21.5 points from Jonathan Kuminga tonight. That is my Take It to the Bank prediction, which, again, is brought to you by Fremont Bank. Full-service banking, no compromises. Jonathan Kuminga over 21.5 points tonight. Take It to the Bank prediction brought to you by Fremont Bank. Okay, back to what happened on Thursday, because there was a number of positives that came out of that game for the Warriors. One of the bigger ones, Dennis Schroeder, who has really, really struggled to shoot the ball since being acquired by the Warriors from the Brooklyn Nets. Schroeder was 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 4 from downtown, scored 15 points, had 4 rebounds, 6 assists, a couple of steals, played his normal good defense. Steve Kerr yesterday on Willard and Dibs here on 95.7 The Game, discussing how important it is to see Dennis Schroeder playing a good basketball game. Here's more Coach Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, it was great for Dennis and for us. I mean, he shot 40% from 3 in Brooklyn this year when we traded for him. So, he's never been, a three-point marksman, but he's always been solid. I think maybe 35% for his career. So, that's what you would expect for the season. But the main reason we got him, is the defense on ball. You saw that with him guarding Tyrese Maxey last night. He guarded James Harden last week, against the Clippers. He's going to be on the opposing team's best ball handler, and that's a huge benefit for us. I thought his defense last night was terrific, just like it was last week against Phoenix. Night after night, you can count on his defense, his ball handling. He's a winning player. He just makes a lot of really important plays, and when he starts shooting the ball like he did last night, it only adds to his effectiveness.
Yeah, he was really good on Thursday, and they're going to need him a little bit more than usual tonight because, again, in the absence of Stephen Curry, also no Brandon Pajemski still, Dennis Schroeder becomes one of your only ball handlers that you have left. So expect a lot of minutes for Dennis Schroeder tonight going up against the Memphis Grizzlies, who they themselves are without their star point guard in Ja Morant. But, of course, Memphis is a deep basketball team. That's one of the reasons why they have a 23-12 record, currently second best in the Western Conference. Maybe the only Warrior player on Thursday that did not have a breakout game, it felt like almost everybody broke out of a slump on Thursday, that's Buddy Hield. And the Warriors might need Buddy Hield tonight a little more than usual as well, without Steph, without Pajemski, without GP2. Buddy Hield made 1 3, but still only 1 for 5 from downtown. It feels like we're talking about a lot of 0 for 7 and 1 for 8 and 1 for 5 nights from Buddy Hield of late. Steve Kerr, one of the best shooters in NBA history himself, knows a thing or two about jump shooting. Here's what he had to say yesterday about trying to figure out and work your way out of a slump such as the one that Buddy Hield is in right now.
Well, I think, as a former shooter myself, there are just spells in the season where, things just don't feel right. It's like a hitter, in baseball, just, not seeing the ball well. And, Buddy's similar to what I was as a player. He's not going to get to the line a whole lot. He's not going to get a lot of easy baskets. He's a jump shooter, and I think he's just in a little bit of a tough spell. But for the season, he's still at 39% from three. So this guy is, he's one of the great shooters that the league has seen in the last decade, and the numbers bear it out. I always trust the track record of a player like Buddy who's been in the league for a long time, and I know he'll bounce back.
And the Warriors need it, and they could desperately use it tonight, again, with no Stephen Curry against the Grizzlies. We might see Buddy Hield in the starting lineup. We don't yet know exactly how the Warriors will adjust their starting five in the absence of Steph, but it feels like Buddy Hield might be the most logical answer to that question right now without Brandon Pajemski. You start Schroeder at one guard spot, Buddy Hield at the other, then Wiggins and Draymond and Trace Jackson-Davis. That seems to be the most likely. That's just my guess. We do not have the Warriors' official starting lineup just yet. All right, it's Warriors Live here on 95.7 The Game, presented by Xfinity, at home or on the go. You'll get the fastest internet to all of your devices. Let's get to our out-of-town NBA Game of the Night, which is sponsored by the San Francisco International Airport. Wherever your team goes, you can get there from SFO. There are 9 games around the association tonight, including Nuggets, Spurs in San Antonio. This is kind of a fun scheduling quirk in the NBA. These two teams played last night in Denver. Victor Wembanyama had 35 points and 18 rebounds to lead the Spurs over Jokic, who had 41, 18, and 9. And, of course, the Nuggets fell in that one, 113-110. But, man, Wemby had 35 and 18. Jokic had 41, 18, and 9. One of the best games of the NBA season to date so far. And any future Jokic and Wemby matchups, they're must-see TV, no doubt about it. Anyway, that game tonight is about to tip off from San Antonio, and SFO can help you get down to the Alamo City anytime you want, and maybe you want to plan a trip down there when the Warriors are in town. You can do that on March 30th, the Warriors' second and final visit to San Antonio this regular season. SFO can help get you there for that matchup, and who knows, maybe a play-in tournament or a postseason matchup coming up, Warriors-Spurs in San Antonio. These two teams kind of right next to each other in the Western Conference standings right now, so that certainly is not out of the question. Anyway, that is our out-of-town NBA Game of the Night, which is sponsored by the San Francisco International Airport. Wherever your team goes, you can get there from SFO. All right, Warriors Live here on 95.7 The Game. It's Mark Randy with you as we are inching towards tip-off. The 17-16 Warriors getting set to do battle with the 23-12 Grizzlies. The Grizzlies without Ja Morant, but they're 9-6 without their star point guard so far this year. The Warriors without Stephen Curry. They're 4-2 without their star guard so far this season. That'll do it for Warriors Live. I'll be back for Warriors Wrap-Up when this game is over from Chase Center. Warriors Live, as always, is presented by Xfinity. At home or on the go, you'll get the fastest internet to all of your devices. It's Warriors and Grizzlies, about 35 minutes away from tip-off here at Chase Center. Tim Roy and Tom Tolbert and company standing by high above the court here at Chase Center. We'll get to them coming up next. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back with you after the game. Warriors basketball next, right here on 95.7 The Game.